All right. So have you ever thought about, could AI actually make you rich?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's like one of those big questions everyone's asking right now, right?
Yeah.
Especially with, all the hype around ChatGPT and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Can I just tell a robot to go make me $1 million? So today we're actually diving into this YouTube video I saw. It's by this finance influencer guy, Andre Geek.
Oh, yeah, I've seen him around.
Yeah, so he basically tries to do exactly that. He puts ChatGPT-4 to the test to see if it can, actually generate some serious wealth.
Interesting. How'd he go about that?
So he tries two separate things. First, he has the AI try to build a complete affiliate marketing business from scratch. And then later he gets it to try building stock portfolios.
Wow, that's ambitious. And did it work?
Well, let's just say the results are a little surprising. So for the first experiment, he gives ChatGPT this prompt. It's create a fully functional affiliate marketing website.
Okay, so like a money-making website built by AI, that's the dream right there.
Yeah. I know, right? And the AI actually comes up with this whole business plan. It even names the website greengadgetguru.com.
greengadgetguru.com. That's a name, all right.
I know, right? It's strangely specific and kind of hilarious at the same time. But the plan itself, it's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, on the surface, what kind of plan did it come up with?
So it's just focusing on eco-friendly products, which makes sense. That's a hot market right now. And then it says to use affiliate networks, like Amazon Associates, to actually earn commissions.
Right, so the idea is you promote these products on the website, and if someone buys through your link, you get a cut.
Exactly. And get this, it even gets into the details of design the logo with DALL-E 2
Right.
and building the actual website.
Whoa, so it's AI instructing AI. It's kind of blowing my mind a little.
I know, right? Okay, so maybe we need to back up a sec for anyone who isn't totally familiar with affiliate marketing.
Yeah, good point.
How does that actually work? In simple terms.
Sure. So basically, you're like a virtual salesperson, but you don't have to handle any of the actual products.
Okay, I like that, virtual salesperson.
Yeah, so you recommend products on your website or social media, and you get a special link, like an affiliate link. And when someone clicks your link and buys the product, you get a commission.
Oh, so it's if I recommend a book to a friend, but then I get a little bonus if they actually buy it using my special link.
Exactly. And that's what ChatGPT is setting up in this experiment, like a whole website dedicated to recommending these eco-friendly gadgets and making money every time someone buys through those links.
Sounds pretty slick, but did it actually work? Did this website actually make any money?
Okay, so there are a couple of important things to keep in mind here. First, Jeek actually mentions that this whole experiment was inspired by this guy named Jackson Fall, who did something similar on Twitter.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but the thing is, Fall already had this massive following on Twitter, which obviously helped him attract investors.
Ah, so that's a big advantage that, the AI didn't really account for in its plan.
Exactly. It's like saying, I can bake a cake just like that world-famous pastry chef, but forgetting that you don't have their years of experience or their fancy oven.
Totally, yeah. So, what about the actual results? Did the website make any money from the affiliate marketing itself?
Well, that's the other catch. The video shows the website getting set up and running, but there's no real evidence that it generated any, substantial profit from the affiliate marketing. Plus, the budget for ads was tiny, so it's unlikely that would make a big difference.
Okay, so maybe not a get-rich-quick scheme after all, but I gotta admit, the idea of having AI design a website and write content for me is still kind of tempting.
Yeah, it definitely appeals to that, like the lazy part of our brain that just wants to automate everything.
Totally. But I guess the takeaway is it's not quite as simple as just telling AI to make me rich.
Yeah, AI can be a powerful tool for sure, but it's not a magic button for instant riches, There's still a lot of human strategy and effort involved in building a successful business, especially online.
Right. It's you can have the fastest car in the world, but if you don't know where you're going or how to drive, you're not going to get very far.
Exactly. So while Hustle GPT, as G calls it, was all about building a business, his next experiment tackles a whole different challenge.
Yeah.
Using AI to navigate the world of investing.
Oh, yeah. This is where things get really interesting. He calls this AI Invest GPT and gives it a pretty specific scenario to work with.
Oh, okay. Like what kind of scenario?
So he tells ChatGPT to imagine the S&P 500 is at 3,900, Bitcoin is around $27,000, and, we're in a kind of volatile market, especially after some recent bank collapses.
So a pretty challenging environment. He's really putting this AI to the test.
Yeah, he basically wants to see if the AI can build a portfolio that can, beat the market, given all that's going on.
Okay, so high stakes, high pressure. What did InvestGPT come up with? Did it find like some hidden gem stocks that were about to explode?
Well, not quite. It actually starts by suggesting a pretty standard asset allocation. It says to put 50% of the portfolio in a S&P 500 ETF. The ticker is VOO, which is basically like a basket of stocks that track the performance of the S&P 500 index.
Hmm. Okay, so that part's pretty sensible. What about the other half of the portfolio?
So for that, it recommends 25% in a bond ETF, SHY, then 15% in cryptocurrency, split evenly between Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then the last 10% in cash.
Okay, so on the surface, that looks like a relatively diversified portfolio, something
Yeah.
that most financial advisors would probably recommend.
Right, exactly. But the big question is, did this AI crafted portfolio actually live up to the hype? Like, did it beat the market?
Well, that's where things get a little surprising and maybe even a little bit disappointing. Remember, this experiment is taking place in a somewhat volatile market, and, well, all of the portfolios InvestGPT created ended up losing money.
Seriously. All of them. Even with that mix of stocks, bonds, and crypto.
Yep, every single one. Some even performed worse than the S&P 500 itself. But honestly, I think that's where we start to glean some really valuable insights.
Okay, I'm all ears. What can we learn from a robo-advisor that lost money?
Well, first, it reminds us that AI, at least in its current form, isn't some infallible oracle that can perfectly predict the market's future. The market is incredibly complex, it's influenced by so many factors, and a lot of them are just unpredictable.
Right, so even with all that processing power and data crunching, AI can still get it wrong.
Absolutely. And I think that's a super important takeaway for anyone thinking about using AI for investing. Don't just blindly trust whatever an AI recommends. It's not a guarantee for success.
Okay, makes sense. So what about the specific stocks and ETFs that Invest GPT chose? Did those offer any clues about why the portfolios didn't perform so well?
Let's dive into that in the next part of our deep dive. So yeah, if we actually look at some of the stocks InvestGPT recommended, it kind of gives us a peek into its thought process, maybe some clues as to where it went wrong.
Yeah, let's break it down. What did it pick?
Well, one of the picks was QQQ.
QQQ.
Yeah, it's a pretty popular ETF. It tracks the NASDAQ 100 index, which is, heavily weighted towards tech companies.
Right, so basically betting on the big tech giants to like keep on growing.
Yeah, exactly. Which, I mean, makes sense on the surface, but remember, this was during a time when tech stocks were actually taking a hit. QQQ ended up being down about 20% during the experiment.
Ouch. So not a great bet there. What else? What else did it pick?
Another one that stood out was ARKK. That's the ETF run by Kathy Wood.
Hmm.
She's known for focusing on disruptive innovation.
Right, right.
This one really tanked. It ended up down a whopping 69%.
69%. Ooh, that's gonna hurt. I guess even AI can't predict when a high growth strategy is gonna backfire.
Yeah, it definitely highlights the risks that come with certain investment styles. ARKK, while it could be really rewarding in the long run, it's known to be pretty volatile.
Right, not for the faint of heart.
Exactly. So QQQ and ARKK, not the best picks. Anything else worth mentioning?
Yeah, were there any good picks or were they all pretty much duds?
Well, it also recommended this small cap ETF, IWM. It tracks the Russell 2000 index. Small cap companies, they can offer growth potential, but they also tend to be more volatile.
Risky business.
Yeah, and in this case, it didn't do so well either. IWM ended up with a pretty significant loss. So yeah, InvestGPT was definitely having a bit of a rough time.
Yeah, sounds like it. So were there any bright spots at all or was it just like all downhill from there?
Actually, there were a couple of brighter spots. It recommended XLK, that's another tech-focused ETF, but this one specifically tracks the tech sector of the S&P 500.
Oh, okay.
And get this, XLK was only down 10%, which actually means it outperformed the S&P 500 itself, which was down 13.5% during that same period.
Oh, wow. So even AI can pick a winner sometimes. Anything else that surprised you?
Yeah, two healthcare ETFs, VHT and XLV, those also held up pretty well. VHT was down 13%, and XLV was only down 8%.
Interesting. So even though, overall InvestGPT didn't exactly knock it out of the park, it sounds like there are some valuable lessons we can learn from its picks.
Definitely. For me, one of the biggest takeaways is that AI can definitely help us analyze data, maybe even spot some potential investment opportunities. But it's important to remember it's just a tool. It can't replace human judgment, especially when it comes to something as complex as the market.
Yeah, it's like you can have a GPS for investing, it can point you in the right direction, but you still need to know how to drive, and make adjustments based on what's actually happening on the road.
Perfect analogy. And it's super relevant right now. Things are changing so fast. AI can help us keep up with those changes, but it's still on us to interpret the data and make smart decisions.
So looking back at all the picks, is there any kind of common thread that explains why some did better than others?
One thing I noticed, the picks that were more focused on, like short-term growth or highly speculative assets, things like some of the tech stocks and cryptocurrencies, those tended to do worse. And on the other hand, the ones that were more diversified or focused on more stable sectors like healthcare, they tended to fare better.
So it sounds like slow and steady wins the race. Might still be true, even in this age of like superpowered AI.
It seems that way, yeah.
Yeah.
Reinforces the importance of having a long-term investment strategy that's based on solid principles, things like diversification and managing risk.
Okay, so maybe AI isn't going to replace like human financial advisors anytime soon.
Probably not.
But it could be a valuable tool for, for investors who are willing to do their homework and make smart decisions.
Exactly. It's all about finding that balance, using AI for its strengths, like the data analysis and pattern recognition, but also recognizing its limitations and, using your own human judgment to make the final call.
So it's not about AI versus humans. It's more like AI and humans working together.
Yeah, I like that.
Like a dynamic duo.
Yeah, exactly.
This whole experiment, it's really made me think differently about AI and like what it can actually do.
Me too. It's definitely challenged some of my assumptions.
It's clear that AI has the potential to like completely change the way we invest, but it's also a good reminder that there's no magic bullet when it comes to building wealth.
Absolutely. And I think it's also important to remember that even though AI is super powerful, it's still in its early stages. It's going to keep evolving, and it'll be really interesting to see how it impacts investing in the future and how we can use it responsibly and ethically.
Yeah, it's both exciting and a little bit daunting. Like we're standing at the edge of this like new frontier and we're all figuring it out together.
I agree. There's that sense of discovery and possibility. It's pretty contagious.
Well said. So Jeet's video actually ends with kind of a funny twist.
Oh, yeah.
He asks ChatGPT-4 to come up with a business idea, but like one that's totally outside the box.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What did it come up with?
You're not going to believe this. It suggested starting a business that rents out trained pigeons to deliver small packages in cities.
Wait, what? Pigeons? Like actual pigeons?
Yep. Carrier pigeons, apparently they're super efficient at navigating cities, and they can deliver packages way faster than like drones or cars.
Okay, that's definitely outside the box. I'll give it
I
that.
know, right? It sounds crazy, but there's actually some logic to it. Apparently, pigeons are already being used for things like aerial photography and environmental monitoring.
That's true.
Plus, they don't need charging stations or like FAA approval.
True. Okay, I'm cutting into it.
Right. So maybe, just maybe, our packages will be delivered by like a flock of highly trained AI-powered pigeons in the future.
Now that's an image I never thought I'd see. Makes you wonder what other weird and wonderful applications AI will come up with.
Right. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Andre Jik's AI experiments. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling like inspired and also a little overwhelmed by all the possibilities.
Yeah, it's a lot to process. But for me, the main takeaway is that AI is a powerful tool. It can be used for good or bad. And it's up to us to stay informed, make smart choices, and make sure it's used in a way that benefits, everyone.
So after diving deep into all of this, like Andre Jik's AI experiments, I gotta ask, like, what are your final thoughts? Can AI really make us rich?
Well, if those AI-powered pigeons really take off, maybe we'll all be like investing in pigeon training startups or something.
Right.
But all jokes aside, I think this deep dive has shown us that the answer is a lot more complicated than a simple yes or no.
Yeah, it's not like there's a secret AI code that just like unlocks instant wealth or something.
Exactly. What we've seen is that AI can be a really